As part of my attempts to watch the first episodes of pretty much every show that I grew up watching, I decided to watch the first episode of Anaconda, and I really did not like this at all. I can kind of see why I enjoyed watching it growing up, because I think Anaconda has a pretty decent personality. I quite like the character, but I really, really hate the animation style. This was released in 1999, according to IMDb. And the animation style is kind of hard to describe. We have animated characters with very real heads, and their movements are kind of stiff. And I don't find it very satisfying. I find it very unique. And I guess I have to praise the creativity, but it's not comfortable to watch. And that probably wasn't an issue when I was a child, because I don't remember ever feeling that way. But watching it now, one episode or even one segment, this is just the first segment of the first episode, that was enough. Definitely enough for me. The narrative itself is okay. It also reminded me of Nanette Manoir. That name has lived in my head for the last 20-something years, and at some point, I forgot where that name came from. So every now and then, the name will pop into my head, and I never got around to trying to Google where the name came from. So that's good. I had a reminder of that name. And the narrative focuses on the fact that the class are trying to decide where to go on a school trip. And Angela wants to go to a monster truck rally. Nanette wants to go to the ballet. And they decide to, well, I won't say exactly what happens, but they have a way of trying to decide how they make the decision. And I thought that was pretty good. I think things worked really well. The narrative was interesting enough. I have no problems with the narrative itself, the way it developed, the situations it presented. All of that's absolutely fine and makes perfect sense. The characters are interesting enough, and Angela Anaconda, as I said, is a pretty decent character. Unfortunately for me, the animation style is just not something I can get on board with, and I don't mind having watched this one episode. That's okay. And I will say that that's enough. One episode is definitely enough for me. Do I recommend it? Yes, if you have memories. If you have memories of this show and you want to trip down memory lane, I'd be very keen to see what you think of it now. Is it as good as what you remember it? Is it maybe not as good as what you remember it? I would be very keen to hear that. For me personally, definitely wasn't as good as what I remembered it. Really can't get on board with it. However, if it appeals to you, give it a go. If you've never seen it, check it out and see what you think. Maybe the style will be something that works well for you. Maybe you'll think it's fun or different. And if that's the case, absolutely brilliant. But no, one is absolutely more than enough for me. The first segment of the first episode is an interesting narrative. Pet Peeves is not too bad, but the animation is certainly not to my taste.